All right, so before we turn this corner, oh, yep, we can see it from here. Let me just turn this around. And you can see there's some people gathered up there. Those are the original steps leading up to the temple. So coming from the lower city, which was back here that I showed you, S01, we're coming from the Mount of Olives, and over that was the city of Bethany. So Jesus would come over that, either through the eastern gates or come down here across the valley, the Kidron Valley, and then go in through these main steps up to the Temple Mount. So let's continue our journey. And hopefully I'll be able to get right down to what I want to show you. I've actually never been down there before. I'm always on a tour bus, so we're always passing right by it, and the bus will slow down and we'll point to it. But hopefully, because I'm on foot, I'll be able to get right down to where I want to go. Let's try. I mean, on our way down, it's going to take me forever to get there, because every other step you take, you're like, oh my goodness, look at that. Oh my goodness, look at that. Just chamber after chamber after chamber. Room after room after room. Entrance after entrance. Some are newer, some are older, but they're actually all quite beautiful. Okay, so we've reached the end of the street. Make sure I don't get hit. And so now this is the southeasternly most section of the Temple Mount. And it's just the whole south end of the city, and the walls keep going and going. You can see them, and they climb up all the way to the top. Now I'm a little bit lower, so let me give you another view of this more modern Arab city. It's quite the slope down here. And so this is the original city of David, where Jerusalem first was, until it was moved to where it currently is up on the Temple Mount. And I think I'm just going to let this roll, because I want you to see what I'm seeing. It is, after all, a walking tour. And like I said in an earlier video, it's not just about seeing me in front of the camera. I want you to see Jerusalem and experience it, like give you a point of view, like as if you were actually here walking through the streets. So it's kind of cool for me. I've never done this before either. And yep, okay, I can just begin to see it. I don't know how far it looks like in the camera's view, but there's a little building with a triangle, like a little pyramid shape on top. Don't worry, I'm gonna keep walking closer. So here, this is the base of the Mount of Olives. This is the Kidron Valley. So from the city of David, we run here, the Kidron Valley, all the way. And we're going to make our way to see something, like I said, that Jesus uses. And when you get it, you're like, whoa. Okay, now I know why they were upset with him. Because he makes a pretty hard point. And Jesus has a knack for using what's around him. You know, today we rely on PowerPoint and video presentations, but he uses the land. Okay, so I've never been here before. Looks like it should be relatively easy to get to. So we're going down, guess what? More steps. Okay. I'll try to square up with it so we're standing right in front of the building. Thousands and thousands of tombs. Some are very, very recent, and others date all the way back to the time of Christ, 1st century. This is an extension of the Kidron Valley. It just goes all the way through. Oh, this is really cool. Like I said, I've actually never been here before. We always just drive by real quick on the bus. We slow down, we tell everybody to take a quick look, and then we do the teaching as we roll past it. Oh wow, here. I'm saying oh wow when I just show you what oh wow is. Okay, so now we're beginning to see these monuments here. Oh, wow. Looks like we can walk all the way down to the end. So why don't we do that? Yeah, just beautiful today. It's a gorgeous day. It's a little bit overcast, which for me is nice, so the sun's not shining down in my face. Okay, I'll show you here, and I'll try to get a little bit closer. So I think this is pretty square. So right over this way, so if we're looking, now you're looking at north, okay, so south, west, and east. Right, so we're on the eastern side of the temple. So from the top of the Mount of Olives, which I'll show you at another time, you'll be able to look down at the eastern gate. So if Jesus is either coming from Bethany or the Mount of Olives, he's using the eastern gate, or he's going through the southern steps, which I showed you back there. But they're all passing by the same thing, this tomb here. Okay, I've decided to get a little bit closer. I figure I've walked all this way, may as well go all the way up to that building I was telling you about and explain what it is. Yeah, so I've never been down here before. So this is a Joe Amaral exclusive. Okay, so there's another monumental building here. Again, we only see these for like 4 seconds while the bus whizzes by. We point it out. But today, wow, we get to come right here. I know we're looking at it today, and it's semi-impressive, but it's nothing like it used to be in antiquity. So this is actually the ruins of a tomb called Absalom's tomb. So that's one. Let me get over to the other one.
She's a technician or she's a doctor?
Beautiful olive trees everywhere here in Jerusalem. Okay, so we're actually getting pretty square with the building I want you to see. So on my way here, battery ran out, so I had to charge. And in the meantime, a nasty little front wind, so it's really windy now, and the rain's about to kick in. So let me try to get this before the rain comes. Okay, so when Jesus is walking into the temple, he's confronted, and some of the Pharisees begin to question and challenge him. And he says something very interesting to them. He says, "You are like whitewashed tombs, white on the outside, but filled with death on the inside." What we don't realize is that in the background to when Jesus is telling, when he's saying this to them, here, in the background is Absalom's tomb, are these other tombs, which today you can't see it, but back in the day, they were stuccoed with white exterior, and when the sun hit on it, they reflected and everybody could see it from everywhere. But inside there were the bones and the remains of those who had gone before. And he said, "You're just like them. You're white on the outside, but inside you're filled with nothing but death." So this one is called the Tomb of the Sons of Hetzir. And the one right back here, this is the one that's traditionally referred to as Absalom's tomb, although it wasn't actually his tomb. That name was just attributed to it. But nonetheless, you can imagine the power of Jesus' statement when he says to them that you are like whitewashed tombs, white on the outside, but inside you're filled with nothing but death. You see, for those of us living in the West who don't know the layout of the land, And we don't understand that right here is this tomb. And it's stuccoed on the outside, and it's white and gleaming. And when the sun hits it at midday, it just glows and everybody can see it. But inside are the ruins, the remains of the deceased. And Jesus says, that's what you're like. On the outside, you'd like to make people think that you're all white, holy, clean. But inside, I know your inner thoughts. They're full of sin and full of death. And Jesus says that just a few hundred meters from the Temple Mount where everybody could see it. And that's why I believe it's so important for us to come to see Israel, to experience the streets of Jerusalem, to walk it for yourself. I want to encourage you, go to joeamaral.org. Find out when our next tour is coming here to Israel. Click on the link, find out all the information about the next tour, and sign up and come and walk the streets for yourself, experience the sights for yourself. And I will tell you this, your Bible experience, it'll never be the same.